Good morning, my treasures. Good afternoon, good evening, whatever it may be for you when you're stopping in. Hope everybody's doing well. We're going to be starting a brand new game since we have finished the other one. This one is Werewolf the Apocalypse, Heart of the Forest. Now, I've only seen screenshots of this game. I don't know for sure what this game is like or even how it plays, but it looked from the screenshots pretty interesting because it looks like it plays differently than any game that I've ever played. I hope everybody's strapped in. You have your hydration, you have your sacrifices, and you've gotten your rest. I know I paused there for a minute, don't worry about it. But yes, we're going to be starting this game. I hope everybody enjoys it. If you have not already, go check out my other socials. I'm on TikTok, I'm on Twitter, and I'm on Twitch. Pop into the Discord, say hi, share your interests. Don't forget to also check out my sponsor, Short Bus Syndicate. Pop into the Twitch. Type in, well, no, I guess you can't because I usually put it on subscriber only. I really should get that put on my YouTube. Oh, thank you for the like. Thank you. But we're going to get started on this new game. But yes, if you pop in while I'm live, you can type in chat !SBS. It'll pop up with a Discord link for their Discord, as well as a short description about them. They offer a wide variety of DMCA. Fuck, I'm tired. No, that's the YouTube channel I usually use for music for Twitch. So Short Bus Syndicate offers game servers for people to play on for free as long as you're part of the community. Now we're okay. Oh, I have to click OK, guys. I have to click OK. Don't worry about it. I got this. I just got home from work. I ate some breakfast. I'm good. Oh, start the chapter. Oh, these have chapters. Oh, I'm gonna have to write these down so I can add these into the tags later. Fuck. Alright, so Werewolf Chapters Prologue. Premonition. Kind of like demonization, but whatever. You were talking with your dad about the marine human chimeric antibodies drug he takes for autoimmune. Okay. Starting the chapter. Alright, journal, new entry edit. This game is a game about rage and how it helps us do the things that need to be done, as well as things that we regret later. Sometimes both. How do you feel about that? Oh my goodness. Oh dear. This is a fucking personality game. Oh, weird. This is gonna be interesting. My character's name is Krynos. Wow, that's really close. I didn't even get to choose the name. Alright, so how do I feel about this? I gotta look at myself and see exactly how I feel about this. Game about rage and how it helps us do the things that need to be done. I'm okay with anger when it's useful. Yeah, that's probably the closest to me. Your rage is balanced. So you're the critical and analytical type. That's okay. There's no right path here. Just your decisions and their consequences. Oh shit. Choosing. Okay. Let's start already. We have a story to tell. I get it. My decisions need to be fair and just. Let's just follow the path and see where it takes us. Yep, let's go with that. The forest. The woods are full of stars. They flicker. Come closer. Run away. They want me to chase them, to play hide and seek. Interesting. I hunt. I observe. I hide. I'm gonna observe. Proposal, doing a separate playthrough of Cyber Sleuth via Discord screen share for you to backseat game through. I don't know. Oh shit, I was reading. I watch as they dance around the tree trunks, float up on the gusts of wind that shiver through the branches, disappear among the leaves. There are words in their dance, but I don't understand them. Not yet. Then they bunch up and fly towards me like an arrow. Rushing down, they're soon upon me. But just before the spear of light pierces my breast, they disappear, and the dark of the night returns. In the darkness, keeping the forest alive, I hear the spirits asking me to judge the enemy. I open my eyes. And then I wake up. Cold and alone. Confused, I open my eyes. The forest around me is thick, dark, and reeks of decay, to such an extent that it's hard to breathe. The smell fascinates me. I recognize this forest. Why am I here? Why am I here? My head is spinning. Why am I here? There must be a reason. The tree trunks, wrapped tightly in dark leaved ivy, are covered in ripples of is it lichen? Lichen, where the vines haven't taken hold. The thorny, leafless bushes at their base are overrun with nettles. The fungi radiate with a ghoulish, sickly green light. Dark, sponge-like mushrooms cling to the fallen trees. Try to breathe. I'm cold. Something's rotten. I'm going to try to breathe. I take a deep breath and suddenly realize that it's not the forest that smells so foul. It's me. I look down and see my hands covered in a dark substance. I'm naked. A sticky, glistening film of liquid is clinging to my skin. I can feel it on my face, in my hair. Blood. What's happening? This can't be real. I'm alert. I'm gonna go with what's happening. I have no idea what's happening, but stories start forming in my mind. Someone has drawn strange symbols on my skin and the drying blood. Was it me? There's a severed head right in front of me. I've always pronounced it lichen. Some choices are hard to make and they strain your willpower. Oh. I wince and touch it. So the choice to touch it is hard, apparently, because it would take away from my willpower. But this would take away from my rage. When the chapter changed, what the character changed? Yeah, I'm Maya Homid. Okay, okay. That's interesting. So the character changes. I'm assuming, like, in the other part of the story, I was a wolf. Or the werewolf. Did the character change? This is really bizarre and interesting. I like this. I'm digging this type of game right now. I just don't know what to choose. I think I'm going to wince and touch it. Overcoming my disgust, I gently touch its wet hair and watch as the head topples over. The face is contorted, the eyes bulging, the mouth open as though the head were still struggling for air. I balk because I recognize who it is. And then, eyes open in the darkness. The enemy? Who is it? Who is it? I can see their silhouettes, shades of jet black against the darkness. They smell of fur and moss and bloodied earth. Massive creatures, some with horns, some with antlers. Their eyes burn like small, fiery windows into hell. I look at them and something wakes inside me. I definitely think this is a multi-ending game. Yeah, probably. Also, a little late for Halloween. It's never too late for Halloween! Ever! Ever! I need to drink water, guys, because reading this is drying up my mouth. Alright. Sadness. Hey, I'm gonna go with sadness. They tell me stories of their lost battles and dying hopes, and I sink with sorrow. I sit and listen and cry with them. Then I swear to punish those who have wronged them. In a moment of clarity, I almost understand what the forest wants from me. And then I woke up. What is this game, Coco? This game is Werewolf the Apocalypse, Heart of the Forest. Halloween is the only good holiday in the year? I don't know, Yule is pretty nice. I like spending time with people I care about, and I like to gift people things. Now we're in Chapter 1, Arrival. Start the chapter. Alright. Maya! Maya! Maya, wake up! I jerked upright, irritated. My neck was stiff, and the movement sent a sudden, sharp wave of discomfort through my body. I wasn't in the forest anymore. I was in a bus. The sun streaming through the windows was making it hard to see. The girl next to me was touching my shoulder, disturbed. I want to push her away. Don't touch me without my permission. Without a second thought, I push her away, adrenaline surging through me. When your rage is high, you might say and do things you later regret. Oh shit. What's wrong with you? She recoiled, looking hurt and scared. It was a while before she said anything. You were crying in your sleep. I blinked. The memory of the dream was still there, and the wet stench of decay. I'm glad I wasn't alone. I looked outside. Yule itself is different than Christmas, Coco. But I can understand your anxiety. It makes you feel like shit. A nerd I am. Gibbs slap me if I need be. There's a drug class, caffeine. Let's see. Do I look outside? I'm a strong, silent type. No, I'd be glad I wasn't alone. Thank you for coming with me, I said. The girl next to me shrugged. Her name was Anya. We'd met a couple weeks earlier on the orientation day. She was from Norway, a tall, broad-shouldered, calm person who wore her long hair in braids. Somehow, I'd managed to talk her into this crazy field trip across the land of my ancestors. We were there to study medicine, or she was having second thoughts. Anya is cautious. Okay, so if I do this one, it'll make this girl more cautious. You just dried your hair a little and it's gone wild. It happens when you dry your hair. I took a shower yesterday. I also cut my hair and shaved. We're doing family pictures today. So we're going to get that done. That way we can send out pictures for Christmas / Yule. Because I celebrate Yule and my family celebrates Christmas. That one. We'd both come to Poland for the same reason, to study medicine. It was less expensive here, and we'd both received government scholarships. So, did you want to become a doctor, or... She asked when we first met. It wasn't my decision. I was still searching. The human body is fascinating. Go with that one. The game tracks your decisions on how Maya approaches problems. They will accumulate and gradually reveal what kind of person she is, deep in her heart. The story changes to reflect Maya's personality. Shit! Christmas was set as a ploy because they couldn't outright change the traditions of the pagans that they were trying to convert after they took over, after Christians took over. Do what you want to do, Coco. I think it would look awesome either way. Yeah, the church made it a law to celebrate Christmas around the same time as the pagans celebrated Yule, so that they coincided, so that they would start to celebrate together, and then it just kind of evolved from there. Okay. So the way the human body works is fascinating, with all its organs, interconnections, and complicated chemical reactions. I couldn't see myself as a doctor, though. Treating people day in and day out, rushing to help them, I wanted to be a lab researcher or a coroner. Either way, I'd found a scholarship. That's why Anya and I were on a bus to... I can't even pronounce that. Jalowieza? A small village in northeast Poland near the border with Belarus. It was famous for its national park, the very last European bison, and, according to a quick web search, occasional tensions between far-right troublemakers and the local Belarusian community. Anya is cautious. She was having second thoughts. Anya reached into her backpack and took out an apple. She turned away from me and bit into the fruit. I reached into my bag and fished out a bunch of kabanosi, dried, meaty sausages that were so much better than the original Polish ones back in the US. Oh, better than the original Polish ones back in the US. Anya is cautious. Anya still looked like she regretted meeting me. People often did. Actually. Girl, you're a lot to handle, she said after a lengthy silence. I'm not sure if I have the bandwidth for so much drama in my life. This trip was my idea. Our summer language course was starting in a few weeks, and I'd managed to talk Anya into skipping the tours of concentration camps and old churches and visiting the national park with me instead. Remind me, why are we here again? She asked with her arms crossed. Good question. Why were we there? The most honest answer would have been because I've been dreaming about the forest here since I can remember, but people didn't understand when I said things like that. I looked her in the eyes. I kept it simple so I wouldn't freak her out. I told her as much as I could. I told her everything. Let's go simple. I'm looking for my roots. I kept it simple so I wouldn't freak her out. What I didn't tell her was even more important. I knew my family was from there. None of my relatives spoke about it, though. There were a lot of things that weren't spoken about in my life. Strange dreams that plagued me, half-forgotten tales about forests and wolves that I'd heard before my mom took me, ran away, and cut off all contact with my dad and his family. Yes, the human body is interesting. I identify with this person's area of study. Did you hear Amazon had to take down someone trying to sell Auschwitz-themed Christmas ornaments? I did not. That's news to me. I waited for her to respond. Anya fell silent for a moment, but she still looked like she regretted coming with me. I think we should split up for a while, she said finally. I already have a list of places I want to see. I'd just slow you down. What a nice way to say fuck off. That was precisely why I needed to do something. Anything about my future. That damn forest and my weird-ass family. I had a clear goal in mind. I wasn't there by mistake. I'd planned this trip for months with a clear goal in mind. I had to face the forest, I had to learn the truth about my roots, and I had to figure out my destiny. That one right there. Goal, mystery, learn your family history. My grandfather's stories, the secrets of my mother running away, there was a mystery in my past. It was time I uncovered the truth about who I was, but now I wasn't so sure if it'd be a good idea. Welcome home? Anya took her luggage and disappeared as soon as we got off, leaving me at the deserted bus stop. Is a werewolf unless I'm very wrong. I don't think she knows. If she is one, it hasn't happened yet that I know of. I don't know for sure. Let's see here. Anya left. Bia Louise, look, I can't pronounce that. Also, Hallmark tried to make Hanukkah movies, which were basically Christmas movies, with a token stereotype Jewish character who... okay. Looked like an overexposed photo of a village with the contrast turned all the way up. The sun wasn't just shining, it was shouting at the earth. And everything, the trees, the grass, the wooden houses, the fences, seemed weathered. Everything except the shadows. They were sharp, as though they were freshly printed with the darkest of inks. And they moved. For a second, I could have sworn they'd moved. But then I realized I was just seeing a black cat walking down the sidewalk. When it saw me, it stopped in its tracks. I decided to ignore it. I watched it with suspicion. I tried to pet it. I'm gonna watch it with suspicion. Because it's sus. Were rabid cats a thing? I wasn't sure. And I definitely wasn't interested in finding out the hard way. I looked around. A friend was supposed to pick us up from the bus stop, but he wasn't there. And the cat was still staring at me. For a moment, I was tempted to just get out of the sun and worry about my missing friend later. But the meeting was just too important. I stormed off. So it's going to increase my stuff? For rage? Meeting was just too important. His name was Bartek. I'd met him online while researching Bielowieza. The man knew everything there was to know about local history. I asked him to check if anyone in town remembered my grandparents. I hoped he'd found something, so I waited. He doesn't know how to celebrate Christmas despite it being basically shoved down people's throats in December. Interesting. So I waited, and the creepy cat waited with me. Bartek was 15 minutes late, flustered and apologetic. It was his dad's company, he explained while catching his breath. He'd had to help them out with some paperwork. I said nothing. I didn't really care. You're late, I snapped, and there was something in my voice that made him take a step back. He was tall, broad-shouldered, and had freckles all over his face. Come on, I'll take you to your place. His accent was broad and very Eastern European. I flooded him with questions. Anya would have liked him. I caught him looking at me. He kept glancing at me out of the corner of his eye. When I caught his gaze, I could swear he looked scared. We walked along the only street in the village, slowly making our way toward the outskirts. The trees were growing denser, their scent becoming richer and more pronounced. I took a deep breath. Goal, family. So, did you manage to trace the name I gave you? I asked. Bartek shook his head. Nothing. Absolutely nothing. Sorry. He was avoiding my eyes. A trickle of sweat ran down his temple. Hi, he was lying straight to my face. What the fuck, man? I threw my arms in the air. You wrote to me a few days ago that you had something. But he just climbed up. You know what? I think you should drop it. I stopped. That was the final straw. Unleash all my charm. I felt hurt. I'm gonna unleash all my charm. I turned to Bartek and looked him right in the eyes. I put a hand on his chest. I really had no plan after that part, so I panicked and felt a sudden urge to do something unnecessary and over the top. So I kissed him! No. I looked him deep in the eyes. No. I swallowed my pride and just asked. I'm going to look him deep in the eyes. I don't know how to increase my willpower. I'm assuming there will be choices that will allow me to increase my willpower. I leaned toward him and looked him deep in the eyes. I hoped he'd see how important this was to me. But he just blanched and jerked back. I didn't give up. Tell me what you found, I asked, not giving up. Well... He brushed his forehead with the back of his hand. I did ask. I started with the old people here. I told them that my friend from the States was looking for her roots and wanted to know about the place her family came from. You know, the drill. At first, people were very, receptive. I waited for the other shoe to drop, and then I mentioned your name. He shook his head. I urged him to continue. Bartek, no dramatic pauses, please, I urged him. The tension is killing me. One of the old men here told me to go to hell, and the other spat on the ground, and his wife crossed herself. For a moment he looked younger and smaller, and then my own grandmother told me to stop asking. She said something else as well. I tensed up. What? I asked. She told me to pray for you. Suddenly the sweet golden afternoon wasn't so sweet and golden anymore. This is a very interesting game. So who was I? It piqued my interest. Or I was furious. I'm gonna go with piqued my interest. I knew there was something weird and twisted connected to me and my family, connecting me and my family to the forest. I could feel a shiver run down my spine. We walked in silence, but my mind was in overdrive. People didn't want to talk, and that could only mean one thing. I was on the right track. Hey, that increased my willpower! Progression goal mystery. My pulse quickened and I tensed up like a hound. Like a hound that smelt blood. I was on the right track. Every time you learn or do something significant that brings you closer to your goal, you regain willpower. Oh, nice. This is a very interesting game. And I don't know quite how to feel about it. But, like, I like reading stories, so I'm okay with that. And it gives me a chance to, like, play a game that I haven't played something like this since high school. Like, there were the choice-based games that came out when Aragon came out. Like, they started doing choice-based games in that world online. So that was really cool. Alright, continuing. Bed and breakfast. Bailoisa had a few hotels and hostels, but the preferred form of accommodation was bed and breakfast, and that's where we stayed. I found one that was nice, clean, and that had good reviews. We had a room on the second floor with a huge window and a great view of the forest. I dropped off my stuff and freshened up a bit. Bartek said a few hasty goodbyes and disappeared, and Anya was nowhere to be seen either. The day was hot, and I was restless. I decided to head out. Before you go, check out your character sheet and journal. Press respectively square button or triangle button to open. You can find a load of useful info about Maya, her background, personality, goals, and so on from there. You can also check who your friends and who your enemies are. Wait, I can make enemies? What? Alright guys, if you've made it this far, don't forget to hit that like and subscribe so you know when I go live or post new content. Don't forget to check out my socials. Follow me on TikTok, Twitter, and Twitch. I go live a little bit more often on Twitch. We will be continuing here in a moment. I just need to take a moment because I'm contemplating the story right now. Alright, but I had other things in mind. Lay of the land. I had a clear goal in mind. My family was entangled with this town and the forest. I had to uncover my roots. Oh my gosh! There's a map. Go to the forest or go into town? I'm gonna go into town. I'll walk around the village. When I realized that I had no idea where to go, I swallowed my pride and called for help. Bartek joined you. We walked through the village, bathed in the sharp rays of the summer sun. It was a lazy afternoon, disturbed only by the occasional passing car throwing up clouds of dust that hung in the air long after the vehicle was gone. Children were screaming and playing as they made the most of their summer vacation. The adults were relaxing or working in their yards. Dogs were barking, and every cat we passed froze to look at us. I noticed some unfriendly stares from people too. Not many, but enough to notice. It felt like they were looking specifically at me. Why the stares? I expected fewer stares. What did you tell people about me? The stares made me snappy, because they sure look like they know that the girl from the cursed family is here. What? No! Bartek was dismayed. It's just, people don't exactly love strangers here. Xenophobic jerks. B-A-W-V edge. B-A-W-V edge. B-A-W-V edge. B-A-W-V edge. Oh, B-A-W-V edge. Edge. I didn't miss the ah at the end. I was curious why. Why? I asked candidly. It's complicated. Bartek scratched his neck, embarrassed by the topic. There's a small conflict around the forest, you know, and it's attracting some weird people. Activists, reporters, bored rich kids. He said as though his dad didn't own multiple businesses. People like that. And they're getting on the locals' nerves. Fair enough. I nodded. It didn't explain the cats, though. Well, you're not one of those crazies, and you're like almost local, he smiled. So, would you like to see the village of your ancestors? He spread his arms as if to show me all the splendor the village had to offer. What do you suggest? The village. Oh, we can go to different areas now. Tourists are assholes too, though. Yes, they are. Yes, they are. Village center. New friends, hidden tensions. Old cemetery, family graves, mysteries of the past. Lost hopes, strange dreams from the abandoned railway. I'm gonna check out the cemetery. Matters of the soul. So we have quite a few churches here. Bartek explained as we walked down the road. 2 Orthodox, 1 Catholic, and even 1 Baptist church, he said, as though it were something uncommon. So I asked about it. Was there a synagogue? It seemed like a lot of churches. I'm going to ask for it. And a synagogue? I knew a part of my mom's family was Jewish. He shifted his weight uncomfortably. There aren't any Jews here anymore. He led me to a cemetery with a small wooden church in the center. Anyway, even though we have all these churches, there's only 1 cemetery. The church was Orthodox, but the graves were a mismatch of styles and faiths. Catholic, Orthodox, atheists, everyone resting together. Apparently on your mother's side, you're from Eastern Europe around Poland. Oh, it's kind of roughly where we're at right now in this game. Bartek looked like he didn't approve. The place reminded me of a forest. There was something poetic about it. I did lose a little bit of rage on that. That's fine. It's fine. That's a nice sentiment. There's something poetic about everyone meeting in the same place when they die. Bartek smiled. There is, isn't there? He looked at the cemetery, and for a moment he seemed lost in his thought. All my family lies here, he said. I mean, the ones that are dead. Hey, what do you think? What do you think happens when you die? Only memories remain? I hope for something fair? You left an echo? Left an echo. You echo for some time, or ripple, you know. I think that everything in this world has a trace. I was looking for the right word. An aura, an emanation. Call it what you want, and it doesn't dissolve right away. Bartek seemed unsure. Is that like a New Age thing? He looked over the cemetery fence. Well, anyway, this is it. The spiritual heart of how did you say it? Beowulviage. Ah. Beowulviage. Beowulviage. Wovi. Oh, whatever. This main character has a lot of crossover with you, including your mom's family being somewhat Jewish. That's interesting. Maybe I'm playing a female version of Rumi. We can go see something else if you'd like. So that's where we stood. I wanted to go in, and that asshole stood in my way. Defuse the oh, I would lose both rage and willpower on that. I could increase my rage. I'm gonna do that. What the fuck, dude? We're here to find my ancestors. Bartek shifted uncomfortably. I don't know if that's a good idea. He's hiding something. I know he is. You found it? My family's grave? Maybe? I just looked at him for a minute. Show me, I demanded. He sulked a bit, but in the end he led me through the labyrinth of graves to the far end of the cemetery. I don't... Okay. We continued. We walked through the narrow walkways between the graves. Bartek's pace was painfully slow, but I had no choice but to follow him, gritting my teeth and cursing under my breath as he stopped every few steps and looked around. At one point, he threw me a condemning look. We're in a graveyard, Maya. Have some respect, will you? He barked. Before I had a chance to answer, we saw a woman, tall, broad-shouldered, and long-legged, with gray dreadlocks pinned to the crown of her head. She must have been in her late 40s or early 50s. She was marching through the walkways with fury in her eyes. Bartek quickly stepped between the graves to get out of her way. I'm gonna walk on and ignore her. I just kept going, and she kept going, and inevitably we bumped into each other. Hey! Watch your fucking step, she growled. I snapped back. Don't talk to me like that. Fuck off, you watch your fucking step. She snorted and weighed me up. Kids, she mumbled and shrugged. Well, at least you're able to speak up for yourself. Do I want to talk to this lady or no? Oh, it's how to pronounce it? I don't know which one to choose. Do I want to talk to this rude lady? Yeah, I'm going to talk to her. We chatted for a while, and I decided to ask her for directions. Actually, I'm looking for an old grave, I said. My family lived here. And, what's the name? Oh, come on. Feminine norm. Borrowed. I can't pronounce that. Oh my gosh. Yung Borodikiziona? Go to the end of here, turn left, and go to the far corner of the wall. And she looked at me a funny way. What was her problem? What's your problem? I snapped at her. Let it go, Bartek whispered, tugging at my arm. I think it was only then that she noticed him. Oh, it's you, she said with barely hidden disdain. Well, I'd better be going. See you around then, I guess. With that, she left, followed by Bartek's hostile gaze. She was disturbing. I asked Bartek about her. I shrugged and went on. I'm gonna ask Bartek about her. Who was that? I asked, watching the woman leave. Bartek winced. Oh, that's Olga. She's a local activist. She left town when she was 18 or something and returned a few years back with the notion that she was going to change this place. We continued to the far corner of the cemetery. There, seemingly forgotten, covered in moss, was a lonely grave. It was damaged. The tombstone was broken, deliberately. Someone had smashed it with a hammer. The name was half erased. The plaque was also damaged. Someone had tried to scratch out the name, but the letters were still visible. And there was a circle around the grave. A circle of coarse salt around the grave. I'm sorry, Bartek sighed. I didn't want you to see that. What superstitious bullshit. I needed to know who did this. Was it because of me? Okay, it's gonna be one of these two. I'm gonna do that one. Who did this? I asked, gritting my teeth. I don't know. I looked at Bartek, hoping for some context. Bartek put his hands in his pocket. So, you don't know anything about your dad's side of the family? He asked me cautiously. Whatever happened at least 70 years ago, and someone still remembers. That was absurd. He had a point. Absurd. Remember? Remember what? I pushed him. These people have been dead for almost 100 years. What fucking harm could they do 6 feet underground? Hey, he yelled, regaining his balance. Are you insane? I haven't done anything, for fuck's sake. He straightened his t-shirt. Let's go. I shouldn't have brought you here in the first place. I looked at the grave. I looked at the grave for the last time. My family's name looked strange, written in the unfamiliar Belarusian letters. As we were leaving, I was thinking, I was onto something. There was something unnatural about my family, and me coming here had stirred some old demons. I just had to find out what my ancestors were doing there. Who they were. With that thought, I left the cemetery. Alright, so we're at the cemetery already. Oh, fuck. I'm hearing all these sounds in the background, and I think it's in the background of my house. And it's like, what the heck? I wonder how long the chapters are, because it did give me a chapter number. Alright, we're going to do here first. A bird of many colors. Nothing much happens here, said Bartek as we walked through the quiet village. Nothing moved. The heat was stifling. I was bored. The village was really quaint. I'm going to go with that one. It's quaint, I carefully admitted. Is that a nice way of saying it's a shithole? Bartek made a disgusted face, and we burst out laughing. I was thirsty. Let's get something to drink, I proposed. I'm parched. The local store was a large mini-mart with all kinds of goods from beer and vegetables to notebooks and pens. There was a bench near the entrance, and on it were a few local drunks. They looked like they wanted to start a fight, but when I stared them down, they just averted their eyes and pretended there was nothing to see other than their cheap alcohol. I growled at them. I decided to tease them a bit. I assessed the threat. I'm gonna assess the threat. They're drunk and no threat, I said, assessing the situation. We can always walk away, and if they try to stop us, all it'll take is a firm push, 1 or 2 kicks, and then we can make a run for it. I didn't think you knew such dirty tricks, Bartek looked at me with mock respect. My stepdad sent me to a self-defense course when I was 12, I shrugged, to help me with my anger management issues. We spent some time inside, browsing the Latvian, Lithuanian, and Belarusian... is it Belarusian or Belarusian? I think it's Belarusian. Good. Why was there almost nothing Polish here? And who in their right mind drinks coriander soda? I was putting the soda back on the shelf when we heard a commotion coming from outside. Loud voices. Some slurs, some curses, and a clear, mockingly polite, "I'm so sorry, darlings. I don't understand. Do you like my skirt?" Ah, fuck, Bartek murmured under his breath. I looked outside. I wanted in. No. I'm gonna look outside. I looked outside. There was someone standing next to the drunkard's bench. They were definitely not local. The person was old. Not helpless granny old, but old, with deep wrinkles and a narrow mouth. They had the unisex grace of a tired heroin preserved rockman. Their shoulder-length, disheveled hair completed the look. I totally dug their style. They looked out of place. I'm gonna dig their style. They had a peculiar style, fashion that you'd rarely see, even in the US. It looked great on them. They had a clean shave and eyes highlighted with eyeliner. Their nails were painted in bright blue, and they wore heavy army boots, an outrageously red skirt, a tank top, and lots of leather jewelry. On their bag, there were pins, lots of pins, all kinds of LGBTQA+ flags, anarchist and pacifist symbols, and I think some German band stripes. In Poland, at one point, were joint commonwealth with elected rulers, elected by the aristocracy only, but because there were so many nobles in it, the percent of those eligible to vote. Shall I approach? I'm gonna approach. I zeroed in on the drunkards. "What do you think you're doing?" I asked in Polish. This was a sentence I'd heard a lot as a child. "Zoti vyprawiasz? Zoti vyprawiasz?" They looked at me, surprised. They hesitated as if someone was whispering in their ears, coaxing them to violence, and my appearance made the voices shut up. "And who the hell are you?" asked the one who seemed to be the leader of the group. I punched him, or I yelled at them. It was the same percent as Athens in ancient Greece. Interesting. Seemed to be the leader of the group. Well, I could punch him, or I could yell at them. I'm gonna punch him. "I'm the girl who broke your nose," I answered with a grin. "What?" I punched him. And then I broke his nose. "Maya!" shouted Bartek, running my way. But I ignored him. This wasn't my first rodeo. I got into fights all the time. I loved fighting. That time I wasn't alone. I watched my opponents. Oh, that time I wasn't alone. I watched my opponents, or I loved fighting. I'm gonna say I love fighting. I loved getting into fights, actually. It was the only way I could really get my heart pumping, my body working, the adrenaline in my veins, and an enemy under my fists. It was a glorious feeling. The stranger in the red skirt also wasn't new to such situations. I could only admire the way they used their heavy army boots. Oh, come on! What? So I'm going to lose a little willpower, or I'm going to lose a little health. Our opponents had broken bottles, or we kicked their asses. I'm going to say we kicked their asses. We punched, we ducked, we kicked. Some bloody knuckles were a small price to pay for the victory. But before anything serious could happen, there was a piercing, irritated shout. It stopped all of us in our tracks. Hey! Someone said suddenly from behind our backs. The voice was loud and piercing, and there was something about it that made the men stop immediately. It made me pause as well, but the stranger in the red skirt seemed to stop out of politeness, not because of the sheer power of the voice. I turned around. The woman approaching us had the longest, thickest braids I'd ever seen, as thick as my arm. There was something faintly Asian about her facial features, and the men on the bench looked at her with difference. What the fuck is going on here? Kim, are you insane? And you, she pointed a finger at the men, you should stop drinking that moonshine. It makes you pick fights you can't win. She looked ferocious. And the drunk started explaining themselves. But look at this, said one of them, gesturing towards us. For the last fucking time, the name's Lisa, she pronounced it. Lisa. And this is my friend. You're to leave them alone. Got it? Her Polish sounded weird, more melodic, or maybe mellower, even when she cursed. The drunkards mumbled and went back to drinking. Thanks, Lisa, Kim said in English. You shouldn't have. Oh, but I wanted to. She spoiled my fun. I asked her who she was. How did she command such respect? I'm gonna ask. Who are you? I asked. I'm Lisa. I live here. She looked me up and down. And who would you be? I'm Maya. I came from the U.S. Oh, are you here to protest the logging? She